Have you ever felt like you have to be perfect to be accepted? Or that showing your true, messy self is just way too risky? Well, if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Today, we are jumping into the arena with Brené Brown's incredible book, Daring Greatly, to really unpack the power of vulnerability. And to help us out, we're using a fantastic summary from the knowledge platform learner.org. Okay, this quote right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. Brown's big idea is that everything we truly want in life, love, a sense of belonging, real joy, it all starts with being vulnerable. It's not some flaw we need to hide, it's actually the only path to a full life. But, and this is a big but, this idea flies directly in the face of the world we live in. I mean, think about it. Since we were kids, we're taught to put up our defenses, right? To build this armor around ourselves and never, ever let them see us sweat. And that creates this huge internal battle between what our culture tells us to be and what our hearts know we need to be to actually connect with people. So to figure out why we build this armor in the first place, we've got to look at the environment that's creating it. Brené Brown has a name for this, and I think it's something we'll all recognize immediately. She calls it our never enough culture. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, it's the air we breathe, isn't it? It's that low-level hum of anxiety telling us we're always falling behind, that no matter what we do or what we accomplish, we're still not thin enough, or smart enough, or successful enough. It is absolutely exhausting, and it's fueled by three main things. So let's break this down real quick. Shame is that little voice inside that whispers, if people really knew you, they'd run. Then you've got comparison, which keeps us glued to our screens, chasing these perfect lives that, let's be honest, aren't even real. And finally, there's disengagement. That's our go-to defense. If I don't care too much, I can't get hurt. See how they all work together to push us into hiding? And all of this leads to a really interesting paradox that Brown points out. Just think about it for a second. When your friend opens up to you, when they're truly vulnerable, do you think, wow, they're so weak? Of course not. You see their courage. You feel closer to them. But when the tables are turned, when it's our turn to be open, we're terrified it just makes us look weak. Daring Greatly is all about closing that gap. Okay, so if we admire vulnerability in other people but we're scared of it in ourselves, it's probably because we've bought into some myths about what it actually is. So before we can embrace it, we have to get really clear on what vulnerability is, and just as importantly, what it isn't. It's time to do some myth busting. This is Brown's definition, and man, it is so good. It's not about weakness, it's about courage. It's that feeling in your gut right before you have that tough conversation, or before you hit send on a risky email. Vulnerability is simply the act of showing up and being seen when you have zero control over the outcome. Let's just tear these myths down one by one. First off, as we just said, it's not weakness, it's our best measure of courage. Second, you can't opt out of it. Sorry. To be alive is to be vulnerable. The only choice you have is how you're going to engage with it. And third, this one is so important. Vulnerability is not oversharing your whole life story on the internet. True vulnerability is earned. It requires trust and boundaries. It's about sharing with the people who have shown they deserve to hear your story. All right, so even if we get the concept of vulnerability, there's still this one giant monster that stops us in our tracks: shame. If we really want to dare greatly, we have to learn how to stand up to it. We have to build what Brené Brown calls shame resilience. And the first step is knowing the difference between shame and guilt. This is huge. Guilt is actually a healthy emotion. Guilt says, I did something bad, it focuses on our behavior, and it can motivate us to do better next time. Shame is totally different. Shame says, I am bad. It attacks who we are at our core, and it just leaves us feeling small and alone. So what's the secret weapon against shame? It's right here. Shame needs three things to grow: secrecy, silence, and judgment. It's like a vampire. It can't survive in the sunlight. The second you speak your shame to someone you trust, someone who meets you with empathy and says, me too, poof, it starts to lose its power. So how do we actually do that in the moment? Brown gives us a 4-step playbook. First, just learn to recognize what shame feels like in your body and know what your triggers are. Second, reality check those shame messages. Are they really true? Third, reach out. Share your story with someone you trust. And fourth, learn to actually say, I'm feeling shame, and then ask for what you need. This is how you start to take its power away. Okay, so we've got a plan for when shame shows up. But what about our everyday lives? The last piece of the puzzle is learning to spot the defensive armor we put on every single day to try and avoid feeling vulnerable in the first place. And trust me, we all do it. Here are 3 of the most common pieces of armor we all use. First, there's foreboding joy. You know that feeling when things are going great, almost too great, and you start waiting for the other shoe to drop? That's it. Then there's perfectionism, which is basically a 20-ton shield we carry around hoping if we're perfect, no one can ever hurt us. And finally, there's numbing, mindlessly scrolling, binge-watching, anything to avoid feeling the hard stuff. But here's the good news. For every piece of armor, there's a powerful antidote. Instead of dreading the good times, we can lean in and practice gratitude. The fix for perfectionism isn't to try even harder. It's to practice self-compassion. And instead of trying to numb our feelings, the only way out is through. We have to let ourselves actually feel them, the good and the bad. When you boil it all down, all this work, understanding shame, taking off the armor, it all comes back to this one simple, powerful belief: cultivating worthiness. It isn't about being perfect. It's about knowing, deep down in your bones, that you are worthy of love and belonging right now, just as you are. This belief is the foundation for everything. This is the question that changes the game. It takes the focus off of what will people think and puts it squarely on what is meaningful to me. It's the question that finally gets you to step into that arena. So I'm going to leave you with that to chew on. What's so important to you that it's worth doing even if you fall flat on your face? And hey, if this sparks something in you and you want to dive deeper, our whole explainer today was guided by the awesome summary of Daring Greatly over on learned.org. They have a ton of others just like it.